Right. Now let me talk about a scanner class, which is a very important of this. Already we have seen one example. We are following the same book, the Java Complete Reference, and some other different sources. Now scanner is nothing but normal. The meaning of scanner is what? It is a scanning of a documentation. Means scanning as it is, however we are giving, it has to be scanned, right? The scanner, the purpose of the class is it will read the input from the user. The purpose of scanner class is it reads the input from the user. Okay. Now scanner class can be created. This class also be available in java.util package. Let me discuss about in detail about this scanner class. Now scanner is a complement of the formatter, but formatter we don't have in the syllabus. The formatter is nothing but already have studied in C, like formatters like %d, %s, %f, %ld. You have using printf, scanf. The same you are going to using in Java also with the help of the formatted concept. But in the syllabus, we don't have the formatted concept. We are going to focusing on scanner class. So it reads the formatted input and converts into binary form. So scanner can be used to read the input from the console. Console means what? Monitor. We can also read from the command prompt, from this monitor. From a file also we can read it. From a string also we can read it. And from any source we can read it. That source has to implement it with the interfaces readable or ReadableByteChannel interfaces. If that source has implemented with the help of readable interface or ReadableByteChannel interface, then we can read from that source also. So scanner class not only read from the keyboard, but also we can read from a file, but also we can read from a string, but also we can read any source of file we can read it. In simply we can say a scanner class is going to be using to read the input from the user, or is used to get the user input, and it is found in java.util package. So the string tokenizer also available in java.util package. Scanner also available in the package java.util. The scanner also. Let me talk about the scanner constructor. As I said you, whenever a class is there, must and should there will be a constructor. That is a 0 parameter constructor, 1 parameter constructor, 2 parameter constructor. It depends on the concept. Now we can read the input from different sources. Now in this example, what we are going to be trying is we are going to be reading a scanner that reads from a file. So from example test.txt. So first of all, we had to create an object for that. We have to read the file name. To read the file name, we are using a class called as file read, and we are creating an object called as fin. Now, new file read constructor, we are passing the parameter, the file name. So whatever the file name we are passing, that will be pointed by this file read object, fin. Now, we are reading the input with the help of scanner. File read will do what? It will read the file name. That's all. It will not read the content of that file name. To read the content inside the file name, we are going to using scanner class. So we are creating a object for src, object for scanner class, and I am calling a constructor. And for this scanner constructor, I am passing the object that is nothing but the file name, which is pointing the object, which is pointed for a file name called as test.txt, right? So this fin is nothing but we are giving to the scanner input saying that read the input from a file. Which file? That is taken care by fin object. Okay. The first constructor is talking about reading the input from a file. So to read a input from a file, first of all, we need to read the file, and whatever the object you have created for the file read class, you have to pass as a parameter for the scanner constructor. So this src object will read all the content which is available in test.txt. That is the first constructor. The second constructor is scanner that reads from the standard input. What is the standard input for us? Keyboard. So read the input from keyboard. For that, simply pass the parameter as system.in. Already have done some programs on this one. Just pass the parameter system.in as a parameter for the scanner class. Okay, so for this scanner constructor. The third constructor is creates a scanner that reads from a string. So just assign for a string variable, assign a string. This is a string we are going to assign. That string variable has a passing as a parameter from this. So from this string, it will read each strings from that given string variable. Or else entire string you can pass instead of the string object you can pass over here. You can pass entire string itself as a parameter for this scanner constructor. Okay, instead of storing in another variable, string variable. That variable again you are going to passing that object you are going to passing as a parameter again for this scanner object. Instead of doing of all that, you can directly pass this enter string as a parameter for this scanner constructor itself. So in this slide we have seen three different types of constructors for this scanner. One is reading the input from a file, another is reading the input from a keyboard, another is reading the input from a string. These are the different syntaxes for the constructor. Whichever you are comfortable, you can remember in the examination 3 to 4. We are having different constructors of scanners out there. You can remember which are comfortable, like scanner input stream. You can remember scanner readable. Also, you can make focus scanner string. Just now we have seen, right? We are reading from the standard input. We are reading from a file. We are reading from a string. The scanner file from scanner string from scanner. If you want mention the input stream. Input stream is what? Standard input. So these are the things you can remember, the constructors, and this is the explanation. Already we have discussed. Just coming to the methods. What is the purpose of these methods in this scanner means? Definitely, scanner is also for reading the input. The methods of scanner is also for reading the inputs itself. But what type of input you are going to be reading, that you have to decide this methods. Say for example, if you go for the provisional shop is going to purchase the provisions from maybe from marts or from the wholesale shops. From that provisional shop, we are purchasing some provisions. What is the difference here? The person who is holding the provisions in the provision shop is also purchasing from marts and also purchasing from maybe from the wholesale. We are also purchasing the provisions from the provision shop. What is the difference here? They are purchasing, the provisions shop owners are purchasing the provisions in a big amount of, and from them we are going to purchasing a small amount. What is the difference over here? The quantity. They are purchasing like 100 kilos, but we are purchasing from the provision only 1 kilo, 500 grams. Like this we are purchasing. The quantities differ based on our requirement. We are taking from that, right? So both are reading, but they are the scanner constructors is reading entire string, entire input. From that we are going to be accessing what type of input we are required. What is the main, what type of things we are going to be required from that. We are going to using this methods. Like we have the methods like next boolean, next byte, next double, next float, next int, next line, next long, next short. Like this different input, different methods are available. If you remember the primitive data types or integer, float, double, long, short, boolean, all are primitive data types, right? The same here. Next followed by the data type name, boolean, next followed by byte, next followed by double, next followed by float. If you want to read boolean values, you can use next boolean. If you want to read a byte, you can read byte, next byte. If you want to read double, you can use next double. If you want to read float values, next float. If you want to read a integers, next integer. If you want to read a string, next line. If you want to read a long, next long. If you want to read a short values, next short. So these are the different methods based on the data what we require. Based on that, the method is available. So these methods are available in scanner class. Okay. Now let us discuss two examples to understand clearly what actually how the scanner will be run over here. Now see, this is a just I'm importing a class scanner from the util package java.util.scanner, importing the scanner class. I'm just calling a creating a main method, main class. So main is a class here and main is a method here. Both are different. Now main method I'm going to be calling, and in the main method I'm just creating an object. Now already you are aware system.in means what? You are reading the input from keyboard, standard input. That is standard input is what? Keyboard. You are reading from standard input, and we are going to pointing that object to my obj, right? Now I just enter the username, read the username. Now username is a what? Is a string. To read the string, what we can use? Next line. Next line is the string to read it. Now just to display the input, you can username is username. That's username is just you can display the username. So the whatever you are reading from the standard keyboard, it will be taken care whatever in the format it wants, in which format it wants. It reading integer or it reads the string. Based on that, the program it is going to be taking that respective method. So this scanner will read the input from the keyboard. Whatever my obj, the scanner object is read it from that, the next line from that object dot next line, what will we do? it reads a line, reads a string. How can we know it has to read a string? By using the next line method, we are reading a string from my obj object, scanner object. So once it is reading the name, it is assigned to a username string type. So whatever you are reading at the right hand side, the same data type has to be there at the left hand side. Because if you are reading a string, means the variable which is storing that, it has to be also string. When you are reading a integer value, the variable which you are going to be assigning, it also be having integer variable. If you are reading a float value, it have a next float, it has to be assigned to a float variable. If you are reading next long, you have to assign for a long variable. Okay, and just we are displaying this name. This is one program. Let me discuss another program. For the same program, just I'm importing java.util package and calling, creating a class main and calling a main method. And I'm just reading the input from the standard input, that is keyboard. Now here what I'm doing is I'm just reading the name, age, salary. All three we are going to be reading. Previous example, just we are reading only one input. Now we are reading three inputs of different types. Name is string, age is integer, salary is double. Three different values we are going to be reading. So for reading of that three different values, what we are going to be doing is, for reading of the name, we are going to using next line, my obj dot next line, and assign to a name variable. Next, to read the age, we are using next int and assign to a age variable. To read the salary, we are using next double and assign to a salary variable. So these three lines, these three methods are available in the scanner method. So that's why we are going to be access that methods with the object of scanner class. So my obj dot next line, my obj dot next int, my obj dot next double. So this is three or for reading the string, reading a integer, reading a double. And these three lines are for just display. So you know how to display it. Just with the help of the plus concatenation symbol, we can display the name, age, and salary. Okay. So this is previous example talks about reading a single input. And here this example talks about reading different inputs, different type of inputs we are reading from this. Okay. So that's about the scanner class. So scanner class we have seen is for reading the input from the user. We are going to using scanner class, where it is available in java.util package. And what are the different constructors we are having is, we can read these input from a file. We can read the input from a string. We can read the input from a standard input as well. So these are the some of the constructors, and these are the methods. A particular type of data, if you want to read it, you can use the methods. Okay. And this is one example for reading a single input. This is another example for reading multiple inputs. Okay. So that's about the scanner class in Java.